There was once a man named Adrian who spent most of his adult life quietly working behind the scenes at a mid-sized company in a bustling city. He was never the loudest in meetings, never the one to grab the spotlight, and rarely received public praise. His work was meticulous, reliable, and consistent, but it often went unnoticed. While others chased promotions and praise with loud presentations and showy numbers, Adrian was content staying in the background, doing what needed to be done, even if no one ever clapped for it. Each morning, Adrian arrived early, unlocking the office before anyone else showed up. He made the coffee, organized the files, cleaned up the break room when no one was watching, and made sure the office supplies were fully stocked. These were not things listed in his job description, but he did them because he believed in taking care of the space where he and his coworkers spent most of their waking hours. He believed that little things mattered, even when they were invisible. Adrian had a quiet kind of discipline that many overlooked. He never missed a deadline. He never asked for extensions or made excuses. When a project failed, he took responsibility. When it succeeded, he stepped back and let the team take credit. Many newer employees didn't even know his name, but their work often relied on the systems Adrian had silently built over the years. He was not without dreams. In his younger days, Adrian had aspired to become a writer. He loved words and how they carried emotion, how they could lift someone up from despair or bring clarity to chaos. But life had other plans. Family responsibilities, bills, and practicality steered him toward a stable job with steady income. He tucked away his dreams not out of surrender, but out of love. He believed that sacrifice was not always about loss, but about choosing what mattered more in a given moment. Despite his quiet efforts, there were times when Adrian felt invisible. When younger, louder employees were praised for ideas he had subtly suggested in earlier meetings. When promotions skipped him in favor of those who played office politics better. When he saw less effort rewarded with more recognition. There were days he walked home wondering if his work really mattered, if anyone would notice if he were gone. But then there were moments that reminded him why he chose to keep going. Once, a new intern struggled to adjust to the fast pace of the office. Adrian noticed her staying late, trying to understand complex systems without much guidance. Without fanfare, he began leaving her small notes with tips and shortcuts. He reorganized the shared files to make them easier to navigate. The intern never knew who was helping her, but she eventually found her rhythm and excelled in her role. Years later, that intern returned as a manager and told her team about someone in the company who had silently helped her when she needed it most. She never knew his name, but she remembered his kindness. Another time, during a company crisis, a critical system failed just hours before a major client meeting. Panic spread across departments. Adrian stayed late, skipped dinner, and worked through the night to fix it. By morning, everything was running smoothly again. No one asked how it got fixed, and no one thanked him. But when he walked into the office, exhausted but satisfied, he felt a quiet pride that didn't need applause. Over time, Adrian realized that the value of work was not in the recognition, but in the impact. Some of the most important things we do in life are the ones no one sees. He understood that being dependable, being kind, being responsible, even when no one is watching, creates a foundation for others to stand on, and that, to him, was enough. Years passed, and Adrian continued in his quiet rhythm. One day, an unexpected announcement came from the company's leadership. They were launching a new initiative to recognize employees who had made a long-term difference without seeking attention. A few people were nominated, and to Adrian's surprise, His name was at the top of the list. In front of the entire company, the CEO stood up and shared stories that had been gathered from coworkers across departments. Stories of Adrian's quiet guidance, his reliability, his extra efforts that had gone unnoticed for years. People were stunned. Many admitted they had never realized how much of the company's smooth functioning rested on Adrian's shoulders. Applause echoed through the room as Adrian stood humbled and speechless. But in his heart, he knew that recognition was never the goal. It was merely a moment of reflection on a life lived with purpose. Adrian's story eventually spread beyond his company. He became a symbol of the invisible backbone that exists in every organization, every community, every family. The people who show up every day, not for applause, but because they care. Because doing the right thing, even when no one is watching, is how they live their truth. He never published a novel. He never became famous. But in the quiet corners of his life, Adrian had written a different kind of story, one made of small actions, unseen sacrifices, and unwavering integrity. A story that, in the end, touched more lives than he ever imagined. The moral of Adrian's life is not of fame or fortune, but of value and purpose. It is a reminder that not all greatness is loud. Sometimes it whispers in the hallways before the day begins. Sometimes it looks like picking up what others leave behind. Sometimes it is the courage to do good work without needing credit. Adrian taught that true success is not about climbing the highest mountain in full view of others, but about lifting others up, even when they do not know your name. It is about doing your part quietly, humbly, with love and consistency. It is about showing up, not because the world is watching, but because you know it matters. And in a world that often rewards noise over substance, Adrian's life is a gentle call to return to what truly matters, to the kind of integrity that doesn't shout, but simply lives.